Hey everyone, welcome into my college football 2024 season, week 9 picks and score predictions. Do want to apologize, I am now just getting to this video. The start to the work week was a little rough, so didn't get started on editing this stuff until later this week. So without further ado, I'm going to get straight into it. Went 3-4 last week with the picks, first negative picking week of the year. Honestly, like I said, every game last week was almost a toss-up. Tennessee liked the team, but they should have lost last week against Alabama, but it doesn't help when Alabama plays like trash. Had the Georgia pick right. Should have known South Carolina was going to win. And did you guys remember that I mentioned that I said lock of the week last week was the under on that South Carolina OU game? And I was like, watch, the over will hit because everything decides to go the exact opposite of what I try to do. Let's not complain. It's a new week. Let's get straight to it. A couple of these games are not completely final for me, so I might be switching to a couple of these picks. I have the right to do that, so let's get straight into it. 19 Pitt, Syracuse tonight. This is a good one. This is an important game here. Syracuse has the opportunity to be ranked after this game if they win. Pitt is lane 6. These spreads and stuff were as of Wednesday night. I'm trying to spend a lot of time doing research on these teams, and it's tough. It's really tough to figure out some of these games this week, man. But I'm trying to make it a challenge. I don't want my picking record, to be fabricated like some of these other people, like picking a lot of the obvious winners of the games and stuff. For a lot of them, it's just like I try to challenge myself, and so my picking record obviously would be a little bit worse than others, more or less. But next week, I will tell you my overall picking overall. So back to this game. Both teams have great offenses. We know that Pitt can throw the ball well, but so can Syracuse. Look at what Kyle McCord's done, man. I mean, he's really shown that with his veteran season playmaking that he can do a lot. He can. Syracuse, a little one-dimensional, and I think Pitt is too in ways, but who's going to show up at the end of the day? This is Syracuse's third straight road game. Their first road game was a upset victory over UNLV. I'm going to go Pitt. I was going to go Syracuse, but I'm like, I don't know, man. This is a tough environment. Pitt's going to be alive on a Thursday night. Night environment. Syracuse thrived in it well at UNLV. Can they do it again, though, a couple weeks later after that? I'm not sure. Coin flip here. Go either way. We'll see. Pitt, I don't think covers. We'll see. Over under 62.5. I'm leaning the over, actually, but we'll see. I'm not totally sure about that one. Because you never know. These over-unders are tricky, very tricky this year. Next up, monstrous Mountain West game. This will likely be the Mountain West Championship, and it's a rematch of the Mountain West Championship from last year. UNLV, number 17, Boise State. Ashton Jeanty rested up, but so is UNLV. I think they just played last weekend, and UNLV actually almost lost at Oregon State. A little concerning. UNLV's offense has been cooking still. They're scoring a bunch of points. In the passing department, though, I've noticed that they're only averaging, roughly 200 passing yards a game the last couple of weeks. I mean, UNLV's offense, man, I think is still good, though. Let's not, overthink about it. They can still score. Boise State, though, could score, too, and I don't think either defense is really that impressive, honestly, but it's hard to really say because Boise State gave Oregon everything they can handle, obviously, so they've got they've already had a tough test this year, but so does UNLV, and they lost against Syracuse. But I don't know, man. I think Ashton Jeanty obviously will be the difference here. Shootout, I can see UNLV winning. Who turns over the ball more? Of course, that key turnover will be one of the main differences in this game as well. I just think Boise State's on a path of destiny this year. They can even throw the ball, too. So, I don't know. Either way, it could go either way. We'll see. Great game. Great game in Vegas on Friday night. I mean, that's what it's all about. All right, Saturday games. Let's go to rivalry here. We got quite a few rivalries to talk about in this video, actually. The most, I think, of any video this year. 24 Navy and 12 Notre Dame. It's in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's a neutral site game. I don't know why, but whatever. Notre Dame's favored 13 as of Wednesday night. Again, I think the line's at 13.5 now. This is a very interesting matchup because Navy is a triple option offense mainly type of team, but they can also throw the ball a little bit this year too. I'm not sold on that defense, just not. Notre Dame has one of the best defenses in the country, but their offense is very, very suspect. Yeah, this Notre Dame team, man. I don't know, man. I'm not sure if they're going to cut this year for the playoff. They might. I think they do make the playoff as of right now, but in terms of making it far, I don't know. I mean, it depends on which offense decides to show up. This matchup, though, I think they'll move the ball a little bit. I think they'll be able to run well here. I feel like Notre Dame's better with especially running the ball, especially when you have a quarterback like Riley Leonard. I don't know. It's tough, man. But Notre Dame's offense is tricky to figure out because you don't know which version you're getting. And they started off slow against Georgia Tech last week, but they still won by 24. But still, I don't know what that was about. I would have thought that Notre Dame would get off to a quicker start, but then again, you got to realize we're talking about Notre Dame here. So that's an interesting game. College game day. number 13 IU in Washington. This was an interesting pick for College game day. I thought it was going to be A&M LSU, but okay. Well, IU's favorite 6.5, but Curtis Rourke is out. Thankfully, he's only going to miss probably up to 2 weeks at most at the moment. This is a really tricky game. Taven Jackson, how's he going to do? He played last year for IU. He's got experience. This is not like a true freshman backup or anything like that. We're talking a quarterback with experience. IU's offense is cooking this year. And they can run the ball too. I think IU should rely on the ground game a little bit more in this game. Washington's run defense is pretty damn mid, honestly. But Washington is a solid team nonetheless. I think Will Rogers is a good quarterback, and some people sleep on him a little bit. But I don't know. Washington on the road this year has just been, honestly, not great. But the weird thing is Washington has been outgaining teams, and they still lose. Indiana's defense, is it legit? Is it actually legit? Because Nebraska's been struggling, and they just destroyed Nebraska. That was surprising. I did not think that was going to happen. Man, does Washington strike the upset? I think it's possible. We're going to try this again. We'll try again with the opposing team covering. Indiana's got pressure on them now. They're 7-0. They're getting a lot of talk, man. But Curt Cignetti's a great coach, man. He is. The coaching advantage, I'm not sure who it goes to. Cignetti or Jedd Fisch. I'm talking two good coaches, man. This is going to be quite the game. Close one. I would not touch it betting-wise. I'd enjoy it for watching purposes, honestly. Going to come down to the wire. I think Washington fails again on the road. I had thought of picking them, but I'm just like, man, they're gonna win. They're gonna win one of these road games at some point. Would not be shocked if they won this game. This pick, I think, is pretty much finalized. We'll see, though. Okay, here we go. Here's a good one. I know a lot of you guys who are on BYU. You're gonna hate me with this one. That's a spoiler alert. UCF and number 11 BYU. UCF is the favorite. This is not a typo. UCF is the favorite. Somebody I watched, his name's Dan Rance. Go follow him. He's got quite a how do I explain this? I like the way he talks about these games. He's one of the YouTubers I watch the most, just because I want to gauge on who's got who. And I liked the way he explained it. He said this is like a college basketball type of spread. And he's correct. He's 100% correct. Go subscribe to him, though. He's pretty cool. I like the way he talked about some games. Sometimes it just, depends. It's like with certain teams, hard to gauge other teams, and it's like we kind of flip-flop back and forth. It's what happens sometimes. But either which way, UCF's coming off of a very distraughtful loss against Iowa State. They should have won that game. Blew it. BYU is coming off of an emotional roller coaster against Oklahoma State, a team that has struggled mightily this year. Mightily. UCF the favorite. In college basketball, spreads like this usually tells you an upset's getting ready to happen. And it occasionally does, at least, happen. BYU is so damn lucky to be 7-0. And hey, I'm going to give them credit for being 7-0. They are playing well. Retzlaff played good, but he's also turning it over a little bit. UCF's got a top 5 rushing attack. Man, UCF's a hard team to trust, but you know what? I got this as a lock of the week. I got UCF in an upset, man. This is still technically an upset. I don't care what the line is. BYU is ranked 11th in the country. Anytime an unranked team beats a ranked team, I call it an upset, despite the line. I know it kind of sounds weird to some, but UCF. And I think BYU is going to score a little bit. Actually, this kind of reminds me of UCF and Oklahoma State last year. And I believe Oak State was a 2-point favorite only. And Oak State had started off awful, and then they were surging, and then they got destroyed by UCF. It was a complete ass beating. Could this be that type of game? It's possible. I would not entirely rule out a UFC victory by blowout. But I don't know about that. I'm not sure if UCF's capable of blowing anybody out. They're going to run the ball a lot, but BYU I think will have some of their ways in this one. This one's interesting. I like UCF though. BYU is going downhill from here. I'm not going to lie. They're overachieving like crazy. They're done. Turnover luck is done. Turnover luck is why they're 7-0. Get over it, people. People keep saying they're disrespected. I'm sick of hearing that. You should just... If you don't know what you're even saying, stop talking. Anyway, moving on to another Big 12 matchup. TCU Texas Tech. You're probably wondering why I'm talking about this game, and it's because, well, if you do the ESPN Pigskin Pick'ems, this game's on there, so I decided to put it on there. I needed a couple more games to kind of beef things up a little bit. This is another tough game to predict. TCU is favored 6.5. I think that's a little much, considering TCU is a damn turnover machine. They turn it over too many times. I think they're like top 25 in turning it over, honestly. And that's not good. You don't want to be in the top 25 for turning it over. Texas Tech, meanwhile, man, Texas Tech, they have a great offense, but they just got absolutely run over by Baylor, and I was shocked at that one. I thought, what? What is going on with Texas Tech? Here's the thing. Which TCU team are we getting? Are we getting a TCU team that got blown out by SMU? Remember that game? 66-42? The team that turned it over a bunch against a bad Houston team, very bad Houston team. Or we're going to get the TCU team to show up against Kansas. Oh, Texas Tech scares me. They can run the ball very, very well. Josh Brooks is an underrated running back, and TCU is one-dimensional, very one-dimensional. Josh Hoover, hey, give him respect. He's thrown a lot of yardage this year. Thrown for a lot of yardage. TCU's pass defense has worked wonders. Looking through each game, they do not let a lot of quarterbacks throw the ball down the field like that. Like, overall passing yardage, they only give up on average 167 yards per pass. But I don't know about the... Man, this is tough. I actually thought about taking Texas Tech because I think this line's a little ridiculous. This seems like a trap for TCU. But they're at home. Tech, man, on the road? Tech on the road, man. They're a little funny. Barrett Morton isn't as good on the road. Scares me a little bit. But Tosh Brooks, I think they're going to let him run loose. I like TCU. I don't think TCU is really better than Texas Tech by much. There's some things they're better at than Tech, but then there's better things that Tech is better at than TCU. One of them's running the ball. I don't think running the ball is going to entirely win Texas Tech the game. They're going to have to throw the ball well. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. I like TCU here, but close one. Rivalry. How about this one? Another game on that Pick'em map, the Pick'em site. Toledo Bowling Green, Battle of I-75. This is a fierce rivalry from what I understand. Whew, okay, this one's tough. How do we go about this one? Toledo is a little bit inconsistent to me. I don't know. They're 5-2, but again, which version are we getting from Toledo? Are we getting the version that just let Buffalo run all over them and beat them by 15? Or are we getting the Toledo team that just beat Northern Illinois? Northern Illinois plays Ball State, and I was going to predict that game, but I'll just tell you this. I think Northern Illinois wins, but I'm not entirely sure they cover. That's too many points to Lee Lane. Ball State's homecoming. I'm not going to it, but, you know, Ball State, man, I don't know what to even think of them this year. Their defense is terrible, but their offense is actually good. I think Ball State can hang in that game. We'll see. Northern Illinois has a top 5 defense, but either which way, Toledo just beat Northern Illinois, but Northern Illinois has a quarterback injury. Josh Holst has been playing. Toledo cannot run the ball. They have a quarterback injury of their own, Tucker Gleason. Gleason may not play. Gleason may not play at all. John Richard's been playing all right, but his completion percentage is just, yeah. He has not turned it over in terms of interceptions. I went to look at his fumble count if he's fumbled it. Bowling Green has had the tougher schedule. Bowling Green has had to go on the road to Penn State and Texas A&M, and they have almost beat both of them. Now, it was part of it, them taking them for granted, probably. But Bowling Green, ever since then, they've had their fair share of success. Couldn't beat Northern Illinois, but they blew out Kent State. They almost lost to Akron. That was a little scary. Connor Bazelak has played well this year, I'd say. Fairly good passing attack. But the concern is Bowling Green's receiving depth is lacking. They have some injuries there. Toledo has two very standout receivers, Justin Vanderas and Jerwan Newton. They're both playing very well. When you flip the sides, though, Bowling Green's pass defense is legit. It's legit to a degree. They're top 10 in passing defense. Toledo's defense, technically on paper, Toledo is supposed to be better against the run. This is a tough game, man. Let's do something a little bit different here. Let's take you to some stats here since we haven't talked about these two teams yet. Let's do things a little differently. When we talk about their defense, guys like on Bowling Green's defense, Joseph Sipp Jr. and Charles Rosser, kind of key players on that team. Both have gotten 4 sacks in the year, 4+ sacks, and around 40 tackles. Sacks are coming from more of the linebacker position as opposed to defensive line. But overall, Bowling Green and Toledo both average around 2.5 sacks a game. So that is important to note because, it's going to come down to who can hold up stronger on the defensive end, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to get a lot of points here, but when you go to Toledo's defense, Maxton Hook and Braden Owls, they're holding well in the backfield. These guys are legit, Owls is leading the team with 3 interceptions. And then, of course, Darius Alexander, defensive tackle position, with 2.5 sacks on the year. I mean, we're gonna have a fair amount of defense in this game. That's what I'm trying to say here. But I think with Toledo's offensive issues, quote unquote, I mean, again, they won at Northern Illinois, but Northern Illinois has been struggling to score. I have an upset here. I think Bowling Green's going to pull off the upset. I think this whole thing's siding with Bowling Green, despite the receiving depth being a concern. What's the tight end's name on Bowling Green? His name is I'm on A&M. Sorry, we'll talk about A&M here in a second. But on Bowling Green's side, Harold Fannin Jr. Yeah, he is hard to stop. But Malcolm Johnson is questionable. They need Malcolm Johnson to add to that receiving depth, get him going, and get him back in the lineup. But I have Bowling Green winning. I think Toledo, are they overrated? Not sure. I don't know. Bowling Green's a tough team. I think we're going to get an upset here. Toledo's favored, but I'm gonna shoot my shot here. All right, here we go. A&M LSU. I ain't got much to say, man. I think I've said enough about both teams. I will tell you this. It's either going to be LSU wins off of offense, the big plays, because A&M's got trouble stopping the big plays, or A&M wins because Connor Wigman wakes up. Wigman threw 2 picks against Mississippi State. Were they sleepwalking in that game? Sure. This pick is not 100% final. I don't trust either team. I think LSU is a little overrated. I think they're a little overrated. Now, we cannot underestimate their offensive line. Their offensive line's really elite. I would say their offensive line's elite, yes. Defensively, I think they struggle. They struggle a lot on defense. But we talk about this run defense. Who have they exactly faced that has had a good rushing attack? I'm waiting. Ole Miss is not a run team. I mean, they shot themselves in the foot and lost because they decided to try to play hero ball essentially and try to just I don't know, man. Ole Miss sucks to me. A&M, man. Can we even trust this team? Home, under the lights. Last time we had this situation, it was against Notre Dame, and guess who won? Notre Dame. LSU is not a big run team, okay? It's all about the pass. Right now, I'm liking LSU because I trust their offense more. Under the lights, A&M in these big time situations, when they start to get that notice, and they're in a higher pressure situation, guess what? A&M, yeah, choke, obviously, but I'm still not sure on this one. LSU scares me. They're on the road. I don't know, man. The winner of this game probably makes the SEC championship. Very good chance. And might make the playoff. This is a monster game. I cannot believe College Game Day is not going here. A&M's favored, but I think they're favored because it's at night. Part of it, I feel like it's because, especially with it being at night, and the fact was with Notre Dame. All right, Sunflower Showdown. Speed things up a little bit. Number 16, Kansas State in Kansas. Kansas State's played well this year. I've actually have liked their growth. Avery Johnson's, they're improving each week, especially with him improving every week. I don't think Kansas State's defense is all that. I don't know, man. I'm not really on board with that defense. Kansas, boy, they've struggled a lot. I can't believe it. You know, I expected this team to be a lot better. Jalen Daniels is turning over the ball like it's no tomorrow. He's basically being a Noah Fifita. Being a Noah Fifita is bad stuff. Is stupid. Kansas has gotten back on track, I guess, against Houston. Houston sucks. I've already explained this once. It's a rivalry. Man, I just have a weird feeling Kansas gets up for this game, man. It is at K-State. I thought about the upset. I really did, man. Kansas State, do they slip up again soon? It's possible, but that rushing attack is crazy. I don't trust Kansas slowing down K-State, but I don't trust K-State slowing down Kansas. I think these two teams are almost even. They are almost even. Oof. K-State minus 10? Nope. I like the points with Kansas all the way. Good game. Watch it. All right, final game to pick here. This is also not finalized, although I'm kind of confident in this pick here. Colorado and Cincinnati. This is an important game, especially for Colorado. They win this game, they're bowl eligible. They're 5-2. 5.5 point favorites. I don't know about that. Cincinnati's not a bad team, man. They can really, really move the ball. That Brendan Sorsby and receiving connection with who they got on the receiving core, led by Xavier Henderson, that's a problem. That's a pretty big problem. I don't know if Colorado can stop it. Travis Hunter, I think, is leaning towards playing. This Colorado defense sucks. Stop. I mean, not stop it. My brain's kind of going backwards in time a little bit because the last couple of videos I've been mentioning that I've seen some people say Colorado's run defense is good. Now I'll tell you this, Colorado offensively, look what they did against Arizona. And I was thinking about picking them against Arizona because I'm like, man, Colorado's better at moving the ball than Arizona, straight up. You see some of their other receivers stepping up now. It's like, okay, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. When you can get your other guys involved like that, especially, I mean, that's good. This is going to be a higher scoring game. I like Colorado to win, but not to cover. I like Cincinnati to cover. They might actually win this game outright. But Colorado, I think their being at home helps. If this was at Cincinnati, I would take Cincinnati in a heartbeat. This would not even be a discussion. But I like Colorado, close one. I might change this pick. We'll see. But again, LSU A&M is not finalized. I'm not totally sure about LSU. To stay updated, I will be changing that pick possibly on Saturday. Thank you for watching. Hopefully this week ends up being better for me. Going forward, man, we got some bigger games coming up. I mean, next week, get to talk about games like Penn State, Ohio State. Oh my gosh. But hope you guys take care. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Peace.